I just got back last night from a funeral out in Gary, Indiana, and it was one of my younger brothers who expired on this past Sunday. So this is his second brother in this year who has expired. My father expired in January of this year, and then one of my brothers expired in February of this year, and now another one in September of this year. And this brother is a younger brother, younger than me. And he liked me a lot. He always looked up to me as his older brother, so really close to him. And the funeral was interesting. It was sad. It seemed sadder than the other brothers, maybe because this one was younger and he was such a nice guy. So it was sad. I think that death is a very interesting thing. It seemed odd to me that one should die. It doesn't seem normal to be physically dying. And so I always ask, what did the person die from? Why did the person die? And 99.999.9% of the time, it's because of something that they did to their bodies. They killed themselves by not taking care of themselves. This particular brother had diabetes, and he drank a lot. And so the kidneys or something shut down. And if you notice, just ask at funerals, what did they die of? You'll find it was something that they did to themselves that destroyed their own bodies. I don't believe that we were created to die. And I've often said that I'm not dying. Now, I hope I'm not too late, because it was late in life when I realized I was killing my own body. And so then I started changing the way I did things as far as overcoming sin, the way I eat, I exercise now. And my brother didn't do any of those things. So I urge you to get rid of sin, eat better, exercise, and I think you can live longer than what you think. All right? I'm saddened by my brother because he was such a nice little guy. But my brother didn't really deal with life as most people don't. They don't really deal with what's really going on in their lives. They pretend that it's not there by running away from it. And I think that's why he drank so much, all the anger and conflict he had. And rather than dealing with that, he just drank himself to death. And so that's why he died. So I'm wondering who's going to die next. And I hope it's not this year, because I don't feel like going back. I don't have time. You know, you don't have time to go to funerals? No. The preacher was interesting in that a nice man and a family member, he was a member of my family, the preacher guy. It was like an actor on a stage. You know how when the preachers, some of the black preachers, when they preach, they like really hoop and holler. And the Lord said, look at your neighbor and say, the Lord said, don't do this. Everybody look. My sister was looking at me and I felt embarrassed. And then you want to, that they really make you get involved. And I didn't want to be involved like that. And so you have to sit there and look crazy because you're not hooping and hollering and carrying on as well. So that was interesting at the funeral. What else was interesting? I think that's about it for the funeral. They say that my brother was a Christian and that he had started to go to church and read the Bible and stuff, so they think that he went to heaven. How they know, I have no idea. So one thing I learned, and I already know this, but I realized after the funeral, because I tend to go around and talk to different family members about things, I was asking some of my female cousins who were married if their husband was the head of them. And some of them said yes, most said no. They said they were partners or something like that. And I asked them if they would obey their husband. It all depended on how he said. Because I asked one of my sisters, if your husband said to you to go in there and make me a dinner, would you just go in there and make a dinner? She's like, no, I wouldn't do that. If he said, please go in there and make me a dinner, I would. But if he just said, go in there and make me a dinner, I wouldn't do it because it's like he's telling me what to do. And so I talked to her and other people. I realized that there should be two mindsets. One is of the world, where, liberal women or godless women who hate God, they hate men, they hate that order. They're supposed to have that mindset. But men and women of God should have a different mindset about marriage and about life. That's why God said, be in the world, but not of it, overcome the world. So we shouldn't be thinking the way that, as Christians, we should not think the way that the children of the lie think. There's no competition between men and women of God. The man love being a man, and the woman love being a woman, a mother, a wife and a mother. There's no competition between the two. But what I've found now in the churches, where with the Christian women and men, they sound just like the world. Their language have not changed, their attitude about life. They still think in a secular way. Men and women. My male cousins and brothers are the same. Well, I got some more brothers left, by the way. I still have 2 more left. There was 7 sisters and 6 brothers with me. And that's one nice thing about having a big family when they start to drop off. You're not alone right away, But anyway, we are supposed to have a different mindset, but it is not happening. The children of the churches are thinking and acting just like the children of the world. Nothing has really changed in the way that they see things. They literally believe, like the world believes, that there's a competition, that to be a man and for the woman to be a woman is like a put down to the woman. Women who love their fathers and love their husband love God. And they love being a woman. They love doing what a woman does. And men, likewise, love being men and love doing what men do. But it's not happening in the churches. It's just not. The mind has not been renewed. Another thing that happened, I found out that there are, one of my nieces is pregnant. She's not married, so we all sitting there. You know how you have the dinner thing after the funeral? There's nothing like the food that comes after the funeral. And by the way, I had Kool-Aid. I had red Kool-Aid. It was so good. So I found out that one of my cousins is pregnant. And when she told me, we all sitting there, she said, I'm pregnant. I said, what? You're pregnant? She's like, yeah. I said, are you married? I asked her, are you married? And she said, no, I ain't married. I don't want that thing. She don't even want to marry the man she laid up with. I'm like, so you were good enough to have a baby, but not good enough to get married. But anyway, I showed her my granddaughter, a picture of my granddaughter who was married. And, married. I said, this is my granddaughter. Because they haven't seen my grandkids in a while. And I said, she lives, in a certain place. She's married. And apparently that upset the family member for me saying that. They thought it was a put down. And so yesterday morning before I left, her grandmother came to meet with me, and she was kind of yelling at me about it. Oh, you're just judging. You're just judging. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I'm not judging. I didn't know what she was talking about at first. And so she asked me, are you saved? She said, you are not saved. And she stood up. Are you? And I was sitting down at the table there. Are you saved? And I said, well, it all depends on what you mean by saved. She said, have you confessed Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior? She was all up on me. Lord and Savior, been baptized and received the Holy Spirit and baptized in water. And at that point, I was scared. So I started to say, no, or yes, or something. But what it reminded me of, and I bring that up because I want to say to the Christians, that's not the way to do it. You can't approach people like that concerning God. There's no love in that. There's nothing in that will draw men and women unto God. Because it's frightening. It's scary. And it seems mean. And so we had this discussion that same yesterday morning about anger and stuff like that, right? So there were some other, it was just females at the house there, and they were all Christians, all into the Bible. And I said, well, you're angry. There's nothing wrong with anger. You're supposed to be angry. Jesus was angry. I said, Jesus was not angry. There's nowhere where it says Jesus was angry. And then they said, well, the Bible said, be angry and sin not. And I mean, I'm really into it. I'm like soft with the way I'm saying it. And I said, well, but that's not what it means, though. It doesn't mean that, what you're saying. You are not saved. So I guess I got to get saved. So the conversation finally ended. And I realized that it's so unfortunate that Satan has convinced men and women of God that you could be angry as children of God. That is so unfortunate, but it's so believed by a whole lot of Christians. And these people who are teaching this are out of control. They have no love for the children. They think they do because they have that emotional love. But no love. The kids are messed up because the parents are angry. And then they are unhappy too because as soon as you challenge them, their anger comes out just like that. But they have justified the anger. And anger is not good. There is no love in anger. Nothing is of your father the devil, but you can't convince the Christians that there's no love in anger. And I believe it's because they have not overcome the anger. And so they think that it's natural. They don't know that you can overcome anger. I literally have no anger. At the funeral, right at the end, you know how when the family or friends get up and say something about the dead person? I finally got on up and said something. I was a little reluctant because I was sad about my brother and I didn't want to get up there and look silly, right? But I went on and got up and I talked about how to the young people there that they had to let this anger go. They must forgive so that they can get control of their lives and don't be drinking and doing drugs and things like that and killing their bodies and mind. And in order to be born again is a spiritual experience that only God can cause to happen in your life. You can't go down to the front of the church and confess Jesus as your Lord and Savior and think that the Holy Spirit is going to come upon you and baptize in water and then you're free. It doesn't work like that. God has to draw all those that He wants unto Him. And then we had this thing about, and I said, you guys are all into this Bible. All you're doing is learning the Bible, and it just messes you up intellectually. Well, the Bible said to study and show yourself approved, something like that. You've seen that in the Bible, right? I said, that's a mistake. That should not be in the Bible. God said to seek the kingdom of God within and all to be added. And I said that if you study the Bible, it's just going to build your intellect, and Satan's going to take the scriptures and use them against you. What did I say that for? You're not saved. We're not going to lose you. We're going to get you saved. And I said, okay, never, ever, as long as you walk this earth, ever, never, ever, again, as long as you walk this earth, never, ever argue with a person that know the Bible. It's like going up against a brick wall. Because all they're going to do is throw scriptures on you just like that. Like nothing going north. And they'll ask convinced with those scriptures as I am with the word in my heart. And you don't argue with them. They'll make you slap them. Yeah, do not argue with the person. Have compassion, be honest, but don't argue. Because you're not going to get anywhere. Because Satan is using that word. And I say all this because it's so sad that it's like this, because as children of God, we're supposed to be winners. Even the Christians, men and women, if your children having babies out of wedlock or sinning, they don't want you to mention it because it's embarrassing. That should not be something you would just proudly say and everybody go, amen. You should make that person feel ashamed about what they have done. As they did when we were growing up. And there were people who got pregnant out of wedlock, but they would have to go off to Indiana somewhere and have a baby. And we want to know, well, where is she? And, well, she had to go up north. We need to bring that back. And I guarantee you the young people will stop doing it so often. But we got to bring shame back. We should be embarrassed of our sins. We're not supposed to just go on the Oprah show and tell our sins as though it's cute. We should be embarrassed by that and want to overcome it because we know that is wrong. There's nothing wrong with being embarrassed about your sins. And there's nothing wrong with making someone feel embarrassed about their sins. Just don't hate them. Don't judge them. But you cannot accept this stuff because these kids that are born out of wedlock, God will not be with them. They will not have their fathers. The mothers are going to be angry, and the kids are going to suffer. And so there's nothing wrong with being embarrassed about having children out of wedlock. So that was a big deal, too, I think. What else? So I'm back. It was fun. After saying all that, my family, I think they love me, and I love them. They just don't, we just don't agree on that. And I used to be like that, so I understand it. I've been on that side of the fence. So I understand that mentality, and I don't hold it against them. I literally do not hold it against them at all. I totally understand it. I don't judge them against it, but I'm not going to hold back with being honest with my family just because they might not like it.
I heard you say that you're never going to die.
Right.
Can you go into that and explain what you mean by that?
And so let me do this. We were not created to die physically. And every time I say that, then someone says, well, the Bible says you have once to die and once to live, or something like that. You've heard that, right? Yeah. Yeah. Well, we have once to die. That is to die from sin. When I say I'm never going to die, I'm truly convinced that we're not created to die. As a matter of fact, the body renews itself every 7 years. So if God had intended for the body to die, why did he set it up where everything renews itself? So I'm convinced of that. And I'm hoping I'm not going to die because I believe that I don't have to die. So, because I wasn't created to die. I'm dying away from sin, but I'm coming alive as I die from sin, And so that's what I mean by I'm not going to die. I'm trying to eat better now, exercise, take care of my body right. Don't sin in my body, meaning don't hate, seek the Father, and just do what's right. And I believe that if I continue to do that way, I'll be here to bury you.
Oh, okay.
You want me to do your funeral?
I think I'm a little longer. Oh, I got another question.
And everybody think we're going to die because everybody's dying. And they say, well, everybody's dying. But they don't know that everybody's dying. We don't live in Russia. We don't live in India. We don't live in all over this country. There could be some people living now that's been around forever. We just don't know about it.
So you're saying that when you're judging, you're dying?
Yes.
Because you're in the
because you're separated from God.
World. Okay.
And Satan is your father. And Satan came to rob, steal, and kill. Satan brings death, and God brings life to us. He's life. He's love all the time. He's giving life, not taking life away from you. But if you're not one with the Father, then you are dying. You're dying spiritually and physically. Because when you're separated from God, you have conflict. So now you got to eat and drink to be happy. You got to have sex looking for love. You got to do all the things that kills you. But if you have perfect peace, you don't have to do those things because you're not trying to run away from anything. You're not using that as a God to make you feel better. You have perfect peace?
No, I do not.
You do not? Why not?
I don't know. I don't know why I don't have it.
You have
maybe,
anger?
Yes, I still have anger.
Oh, well, that's why you don't have the peace. Why not let the anger go? Why are you still just holding on to it?
Well, it just comes upon me. I like my kids. I can tell them something, and then after the third time or the fourth time, I'm telling them the same thing over and over.
Right.
then that anger comes out. My voice, I have to yell at them to get their attention. Because if I keep saying it, they'll just like keep doing what they're doing as though they're ignoring me. And then I have to raise my voice really loud and just let them know. And that seems like that's the only way I can get their attention.
And you can't do that unless you have anger?
I probably could, but I noticed that when I do that, that there's some anger behind that.
Yeah. You know, the worst thing that can happen to children is to be corrected by their parents with anger. It kills their soul because there is no love in it at all. And when they become teenagers, they're going to turn against you because they're getting away from you and not drawing to you. My son and I did not get along for a long time because I wasn't there to raise him, so he was angry at me about that. And as a result of being angry, he didn't want anything to do with me. I had tried to be with him, but this battle going on between his mother and I. But once my heart changed, then God eventually changed my son's heart too. And now we're like father and son. I can't even get rid of him. He was just in town last week, and we had so much fun together. He said, "Oh, I'll be back next week." I'm like, "No, don't come that often. I don't have time to be playing with you. I got to do some work." Because when he come in town, he want me to just hang out with him. But the point is, now that he's forgiven me because I forgave, then God restored my family. And he would do that for you if you let the anger go. He would, because your spirit would change, then your kid's spirit would start to change. They're only acting out because they're angry at the way they're being treated. Their soul is being destroyed. Can you imagine having God? We have Satan as the father until we're born again. Look how mean he is to us. He makes us hate ourselves, hate our family members, hate our friends, hate our enemies. He causes us to be insecure, have doubt and fear and worry. That's what you're doing to your children. Do you believe that we can live an angry-free life?
I believe that's possible.
Okay. Good. Well, that's a step forward. You're on your way because it is possible. So when you pray, be still and know God. And when that feeling come up, let's say you're yelling at the kids. When that feeling come up, just notice you're yelling, but calm down.
Okay.
And just relax in the feeling of anger. Put up no resistance against it because it's a spiritual thing and you can't change it. You just need to recognize and be honest that you have it. And in that moment, God will take it away from you.
All right.
But don't put up in a fight against it at all. Don't deny it. Don't try not to go with it. And if you find yourself going with it, stop. And just say, "Oh, kids, I'm sorry for yelling at you like that."
Okay.
And it'll start to change.
All right.
Do you pray?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Stay with the prayer. I really, really love the life that God has given me. He's always showing me things. He's always revealing things to me. He allows things to happen, the good and the bad. But I don't see the good as the good or the bad as the bad. I treat them both the same. And just live my life. And I don't know how to live this life like this on my own. No one taught me to live this way. I just see to do it because he's guiding me. And he wants to do the same thing for everybody, all his children that want to be with him. He loves us. I asked one of my cousins, who is a Christian man, at the funeral. And I said, well, he was going on and on about God. I said, well, who is God? And then he paused. He said, "Who is God?" And then he went on. He started naming these things. He God is the Alpha and the Alpha and Omega. And he started naming all these things. And I said, "No, that's not who God is." He's like, "Well, who is he?" I said, "God is love." And he just paused and said, "Oh, that makes sense." He just love. And all those other things are there, but he is love, and if he's our Father and we have his nature, then we are love because he's loving through us. And if you have anger, you have no love. That's why we, as human beings, can't get along because we have no love. So if we have different opinions, we got to fight each other. We don't even allow room for someone to be wrong or be right. The ego hurts too bad for that. But if we have love, then we can endure that. We allow you to be wrong. You know, we don't hold it against you. We don't accept it as good, but we're not mad at you about being wrong. You know, if you had God's love, not that emotional love that comes through you.
Even if I raise my voice, they might stop for a few minutes.
Right.
And then they're right back.
Yeah.
They're right back into the same scenario. And so it seemed like it's just repeating itself until I'd say, okay, it's time to go to bed. But if I don't put down any punishment and I raise my voice, they'll pause for a minute, but then they'll be right back into what I just told them not to do.
Yeah. Because you're not correcting them with love, you're correcting them with hate. So there's nothing there to contain them and relax their spirit. You know, you're turning them away from you rather toward you. And there's nothing worse. If you want to die quickly, turn away from your father. When you turn away from your earthly father, you turn toward death. There's nothing like loving your earthly father. It's really not. You gotta love your earthly father. Let me ask right here, do you love your father?
Yes, I love my father.
Your earthly father?
Yes.
You're
absolutely.
close to him?
I am.
Good. And so did you grow up close to your earthly father?
I grew up more with my mom, but I did have time to spend with my dad and in my older years. And as I got older, we developed a close relationship.
And what does that feel like to be close to your father?
It feels good. I feel love.
Yeah. People don't understand that there's nothing like a father's love.
Right.
A father's love is even different than having a mother's love. You can't even compare the two. Am I right about that?
You're right. Absolutely.
Are you able to tell them what's the difference between a father's love and a mother's love?
Yeah.
Tell us.
So a mother's love is more of a nurturing type thing, but a father's love is like he embraces you, he's in your corner, he's got your back, he's not going to let anything happen to you, versus a mother's just like a more nurturing type of relationship.
Yeah. A father's love is like a foundation.
Right.
It's a light unto your feet.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's why and I want people to understand that because they got to return to the Father.
Right.
And I noticed that in the Christian world now, a lot of women are not close to their earthly fathers.
True.
And if they do get married, they give their husband pure hell. Have you noticed that?
I do.
Do you give your husband hell?
I don't think I do.
What would he say?
I don't think I give him hell. I think sometimes, we have our challenges, but we work through those. And I guess since we're on the subject of marriage, I did want to mention how you talked about, your sisters that are married and you asked them if their husband said, go make me a sandwich or whatever, would they do it? And I was sitting here thinking, I would do it because this is my husband. He is my head. And it's not so much as what he says, it's my response that matters. So
yes,
if he says something and he says it, he may not say it in a nice way. And then if I counteract that in a negative way, nobody's winning. But if I go ahead and do it and submit to that authority, it's done, it's over with. He's got his sandwich and I'm still at peace.
Amen. And let's say that the husband is saying it in the wrong way or with meanness. As long as you do what's right as a wife and not hate him for it, it's on him.
Exactly.
Hoping that his salmon would choke him to death or something, because you did the right thing.
Right.
And God will take care of the rest.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. How long you been married?
15 years.
15?
Yes.
Right on.
Right
I happen to
on.
know your husband. He is a good man.
I think so.
Yeah, he is. And so are you, too. I don't know you as well as I know him, but every time I see him, he seems to be happy.
That's good.
I want to go ask you a question about last week. Kind of remind us of what you said, how your relationship is with your father and mother.
My relationship with my mom was more acidic and toxic. She passed away 2 years ago, and I did elaborate.
A little louder for me.
I did elaborate with you after service that I wasn't even allowed to go to her funeral. I mean, I had family members, we're talking people in their 60s, who saw me be born that did not bother to tell me give me any information about where my mom was going to be buried.
And why not?
There was my younger sister who was in charge of the estate. There's no issue with me on that, so that's not an issue.
Right.
But she has an issue with me making claims for the past, since I was 5, of her father not being appropriate with me. And I've always
So
made...
you and your sister have different fathers?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, we all do.
Oh, how many are there?
There's 4 of us, and there's 3 fathers. This person, the last 2, the youngest 2, have the same father, who is my mother's husband for over 30 years.
Amazing. And so your sister's mad with you because you accused her father or something? And
Yes,
and
she was a baby at the time. She
Right.
was a child. There was no recollection. She could not have any recollection of this.
And when you told your mother about what he had done, what did she say about it?
I remember first telling her about this when I was 5. She marched me right in front of him and wanted me to accuse him. And I was 5 at the time. Of course, you're a 5-year-old, you're scared. The next time I knew about that was her and I got into a very big argument. I was a teenager, 15. Ultimately, I got sent to my biological father.
So your mother sent you at 16 to your real father.
Right.
And
Who lives in the South.
right. And what was it like living with him?
He was a bachelor, so just imagine you're a bachelor. I'm using the word euphemistically, freewheeling bachelor, and then you find out you got to take care of a 16-year-old. So I know it was thunderstruck for him to do it.
Were you difficult at 16?
I'm sure for him, yes, I can say that.
You were like
But-
acting out and running around and stuff?
No, I was never someone that ran around.
How were you
I was
difficult?
very mouthy.
Oh, okay. You had a mouth.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I had a mouth.
Ain't nothing worse than a black woman with a mouth.
Yeah, imagine that. What's new? What's new?
And so you gave him a hard time that way, with your mouth.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I was never running around in the streets.
Right.
I was none of that. Never a drug user, no smoker, nothing, none of that.
But how did you guys get along?
We got along okay. He spent a lot of time trying to be. He was confused too because he would spend time trying to be my friend. Then he would spend time trying to be my father.
Yeah.
And when I needed just a father, he knew he was receiving broken goods or damaged goods. One of the things that I did not like about him was that he didn't take the time to try to find me a mother.
A mother?
A mother.
Like a stepmother or something?
Yeah, that would have been fine.
Did you need a mother at 16?
Yes.
Did you tell him?
At 16,
Yes.
he had girlfriends.
Speak
and
into the microphone.
He had girlfriends, and I'm putting quotes in that would come in and out. He never hid me from anybody,
Right.
but he had girlfriends that would come in and out, and they would take their time with me. But again, they're girlfriends. Girlfriends are fly by night.
Yeah.
It was not a permanent thing.
So did you tell him, I need a mother?
At 16, no, because I'm at the age that I'm at now, which I'm not going to tell you, but let's just say I'm an adult.
Want me to guess?
Huh? No. Most people guess wrong. No, but I look back at that time and I said the things that he was doing at 16, I was like, okay, well, Dad's a bachelor. He has a girlfriend. She stays over, and I see him in the morning. We make breakfast, and she leaves, and I thought that was cool. Yeah, I was fine with it. Now looking back at that,
Yeah.
no,
That was not cool.
no, it was
So
not
let me-
cool at
Because
all.
of time, let me ask, were you close to your father or no?
We're close. We're working on that because,
He's still living?
oh, yeah,
Oh.
I spoke to him when I was driving up here.
And so you have not completely worked out your issue with your father, and you didn't work out your issue with your mother before she died, right?
She knew exactly how I felt about her before she died, because
But-
2 years previous to that, we had the big conversation.
But did you forgive her for the way she treated you then?
Slowly.
Did you forgive your mother before she died?
I assume you could call it that, but it's
Well, that means no. Forgiveness is not, I assume you can call it that. Either you, and I'm asking because it's so important for you
no.
to face
Okay,
this.
no, I did not
Okay.
forgive her.
And have you forgiven your father? You haven't forgiven him either.
I have forgotten,
But
but
you haven't forgiven.
no,
Okay.
I have forgotten.
And the reason I bring this up because you said something in church that was surprising for me. I didn't judge you on it, but I was surprised.
It wouldn't
asked-
matter if you did or didn't.
Right. I asked you if you were married. Did you? I guess I must have asked you if you were married, or you said you were looking for a husband or a wife. I mean, right?
Yeah.
You would take a man or a woman as a husband or a wife,
Man,
right?
woman, and either a polyamory relationship too.
Right. And I was surprised, but then when I heard your story later, I understood why you would be attracted to a woman or a man because of the resentment that you have toward your father and your mother. And when you resent someone, you become sexually attracted to them. And so you're not going to have sex with mama or daddy, so you go out and find someone that's just like that. Do you understand that?
Yeah, yeah.
And if you understand that, do you want to overcome that? Or do you want to be with a woman?
I want to be loved.
But a woman can't give you love.
I would have to see that.
Do you have you've been with a woman before, right? Mm-hmm. And did she give you love?
At the time.
And what was love? What was the love that she gave you?
I mean, that was just a fling. It was not a relationship thing.
What kind of love can a woman give you? You think, you believe.
Same thing that a man could give me.
And what's that?
I want to be unconditionally loved. It's not a physical sex. It's, I appreciate you for everything that you bring to the table. I would die for you. I would make sure that you are comfortable before myself. Everybody
That's
in
not
my...
going to happen.
I've noticed that.
There's no such thing as unconditional love. That's a lie that's been made up.
Well, I have not experienced any kind of love. So,
right, I understand.
So I mean, I'm not going to put up with silliness from people that walk into my life. As soon as I think that they're bringing me drama, they're gone because it's not serving me. But still, then that's what normally happens is that I meet somebody and then they have a fatal flaw, and I'm like, okay, you got to go. I can't deal with it.
Well, let me
I'm not
tell
going
you
to
that,
deal with it.
I'm glad you came because I wanted to ask you about this. I want you to know there's no such thing as unconditional love. And a woman is never going to give you love because she doesn't have it to give.
I just hope that there's something.
Women are receivers of love as men receive it from God. You know,
Well,
from
I haven't
Christ.
received anything yet
Right.
that was worth me talking about. I mean,
Yes. So what you need to do, what I recommend, is that you stop looking for it and turn to God so you can forgive your parents for failing you. And then He'll make a home inside of you and He would love you. And then you can love your dad.
I don't think I've felt that love either. I mean,
Right,
I
you
don't.
haven't. So
I have no reason to believe in a higher spirit. I really don't see it.
You have no reason to believe in it?
No.
Right, I understand that 99.999.9, but not all.
Point.
Just 99.9.999. All right, but not all, not all, not all. Men and women who have not had a father like this do not know God, do not know His love, and don't know Him at all. So you're just saying it out loud. Most of them are pretending that they know God, and they really don't, because unless you reconnect with your earthly father by forgiving him so God can forgive you, you're never going to know God. Because you can't go around the Father to get to the Creator, because the earthly Father is the Son, and no man or woman can get to the Son unless they can get to the Father unless they go through the Son. So if you really want to know God, I recommend you forgive your parents. Realize that they didn't have it to give to you because they've been messed up by their parents or somebody, and they gave you all they had to give. They didn't have it.
I totally agree with you with that.
And since you know that, can you forgive them?
Eventually.
Why not now? You don't have eventually to live.
That's right, and it doesn't bother me if I don't. That's the thing.
So it won't bother you. You're not bothered by not forgiving your parents?
No, I'm not.
Really? And so,
I can't be bothered. I can't let that hold
what do you
me
mean
back.
bothered?
I can't dwell on, okay, I need to forgive them. I'm
Well,
thinking,
you shouldn't dwell, but do you realize you need to forgive them?
no.
You don't realize. You're just a tough lady, huh?
That's what most people
You don't
think.
want to die like that.
Does it matter?
Yes.
That's kind of where I'm at. Does it matter? Well, really? Okay, what happens?
Do you love anybody?
No.
you-
Everybody that I loved is dead.
Oh.
And they died 20 years ago.
But you didn't love them either.
Yes, I did.
Because if you love one, you love all. If you don't love all, you love no one.
Okay, well, then I admire these two people that passed away.
Yeah, but you didn't love them. And that's what people don't understand. You can't love your husband or your wife or your kids and not love your enemy. You have to love everybody. The love that is just limited to this person or that person is the love of your father, the devil. You know what I mean?
I understand.
And so did you do the prayer that I asked you to do?
Yes, I did.
And did you do it for 5 days? What?
Twice a week, twice a day, twice
Did
a day.
you do it for 5 days? From
Yes,
last
yes.
Sunday until this morning?
Didn't start Sunday, but I started Monday.
And you
Monday
did it for
to
the
Friday.
whole week?
Yeah.
I feel like you're not being honest with me. You better love me right now and tell the truth.
I'm telling you the truth.
And so what did you think about it?
It was very difficult to do the very first time. It was extremely difficult for me to do.
And why?
It brought up a lot of emotion.
Yes. Yes. And what did you do when the emotion came up?
I stopped it, and I had to stop because I was more focusing on my emotion than hearing your words.
Right.
So I wasn't hearing them even though we were playing.
And so this happened the first day or so?
Yes, and 2 more times.
And then you did it all week. Did it get better during the week?
It was still difficult because I always have things that are always distracting me with my attention in my head. I'm thinking, okay, to sit still for 15 minutes to do that, I'm thinking, and then try to clear everything out of my head. It's always come, oh, I need to go do this. Oh, I need to go do that. So it was difficult. So,
Yes. You're on track. What I want you to do is realize all these things that is being shown to you while you're sitting in prayer is God allowing you to see what's holding you back in life. They're all there, and it's all dark, and you have not been able to see it. And so by sitting still and knowing God, He is allowing you to see all the different thoughts that you've been living in as one. He's allowing you to see the emotion that comes from hate. I recommend you sit there and go through it so you can die away from it and live. Just sit there, and whatever happens, let it happen. Because you're allowing God to take over and rebuke those spirits from you. Because Satan is always trying to distract you from God within. There's a quiet, still, voiceless voice, a teacher that is within us, but he reveals things to you, and Satan talks to you. And so Satan is always talking to you, so you won't hear the quiet, voiceless voice of God. I recommend you sit still and go through that.
okay.
All right? And I'm glad you recognize that you don't believe God. There was a guy in the Bible that asked God to help him with his unbelief. And so at least you're not in denial about not believing in Him, right? But sit still. He knows your heart. He knows what you've gone through, and He understands what it takes to bring you to Him. So can you do it for me for one more week?
Sure.
All right. And do it tonight and the rest of the week, and come back Sunday and let me know what happened.
Okay.
And so whatever happened while you're sitting there quietly, letting the Holy Spirit pray for you, whatever thoughts come, whatever emotions come, relax in them. Don't run away from them. Don't judge them as good or bad, right or wrong. Just notice how you've been so involved in your imagination. And that's where Satan dwells. All right?
Okay.
I appreciate your honesty, too. You're something else.
No, I'm not.
You
no
want me to
different
guess
than
at your
anybody
age?
else. If you want to, I'm not going to confirm or deny.
Well, I won't guess then.
I will not confirm or deny.
James, did you have something for me?
I have a couple of questions. One is from about what you're talking about with her. This woman is asking, what is the prayer that you guys are talking about?
The prayer is it's a silent prayer, and it's Be Still and Know God. What it does is it helps you to just quiet down so you can recognize the voice of God and get away from the voice of Satan. It allows you to quiet down because we don't know what to pray for. God said we know nothing, and of ourselves we can do nothing. So all He requires is for us to be still and know God. So I made a little prayer to show you how to do that. And if you want it, no charge. If you want it, you can call 800-411-BOND, 800-411-BOND to order it, or go online, rebuildingtheman.com/church. All right? And that's for Be Still and Know, or the quiet prayer. Yes.
This man is asking, how does one get quiet revelation?
By relaxing, letting go, and coming out of your imagination. Stop listening to this chatter that goes on in your imagination all the time, because that's the voice of Satan. God said His voice is a voiceless voice, and His children shall know His voice, shall know Him by His voice, or something like that.
This guy says feminism is dead set against patriarchy, meaning
Right.
the man is in charge.
Right.
So is feminism from Satan?
Yes. It's of the father, the devil. Because what happens if girls grow up close to their fathers, and their fathers are good men, then they're going to take over the personality of their fathers. They're going to think like a man who think like Christ. But when the girls don't, ask the boys too, when they don't grow close to a righteous father, then they think like their mothers who are thinking like the devil, because she didn't have her father there. That's why we need to forgive our parents, because they couldn't help it. All right? So here's what I recommend. You can order the quiet prayer and then start doing it. And then, because the word is in our heart. It's in the Bible, but the Bible tells us it's made flesh. It's in our hearts. And that's where we should live from. There's another kingdom called the kingdom of heaven within. And we should go into that kingdom and live from that kingdom. I'm a witness to this, folks. I didn't know this on my own. God caused me to see this. He brought me in and allowed me to see it. That's why I'm witnessing to that. I'm not making this up. And then when you go there and start living from there, then you will have life, because you can deal with things, take things personally. You can take it or leave it. Life is fun and amazing. And it's just all those good things, all right?
When my trouble surrounds me and I didn't have to despair, Lord, You told me that You'd be right there. It seemed like all my problems, they just begun. I'm not gonna worry about it no more. They already won. Oh, she.
A different mindset, but it is not happening. The children of the churches are thinking and acting just like the children of the world. Nothing has really changed in the way that they see things. They literally believe, like the world believes, that there's a competition, that to be a man and for the woman to be a woman is like a put down to the woman. Women who love their fathers and love their husband love God. And they love being a woman. They love doing what a woman does. And men, likewise, love being men and love doing what men do. But it's not happening in the churches. It's just not. The mind has not been renewed. Another thing that happened, I found out that there are, one of my nieces is pregnant. She's not married, so we all sitting there. You know how you have the dinner thing after the funeral? There's nothing like the food that comes after the funeral. And by the way, I had Kool-Aid. I had red Kool-Aid. It was so good. So I found out that one of my cousins is pregnant. And when she told me, we all sitting there, she said, "I'm pregnant." I said, "What? You're pregnant?" She's like, "Yeah." I said, "Are you married?" I asked her, "Are you married?" And she said, "No, I ain't married. I don't want that thing." She don't even want to marry the man she laid up with. I'm like, so you were good enough to have a baby, but not good enough to get married. But anyway, I showed her my granddaughter, a picture of my granddaughter who was married. And, married. I said, "This is my granddaughter," because they haven't seen my I just got back last night from a funeral out in Gary, Indiana, and it was one of my younger brothers who expired on this past Sunday. So this is his second brother in this year who has expired. My father expired in January of this year, and then one of my brothers expired in February of this year, and now another one in September of this year. And this brother is a younger brother, younger than me. And he liked me a lot. He always looked up to me as his older brother, so really close to him. And the funeral was interesting. It was sad. It seemed sadder than the other brothers, maybe because this one was younger and he was such a nice guy. So it was sad. I think that death is a very interesting thing. It seemed odd to me that one should die. It doesn't seem normal to be dying, physically dying. And so I always ask me, what did the person die from? Why did the person die? And 99.999.9% of the time is because of something that they did to their bodies. They killed themselves by not taking care of themselves. This particular brother had diabetes, and he drank a lot. And so I guess the kidneys or something shut down. And if you notice, just ask at funerals, what did they die of? You'll find it was something that they did to themselves that destroyed their own bodies. I don't believe that we were created to die. And I've often said that I'm not dying. Now, I hope I'm not too late, because it was late in life when I realized I was killing my own body. And so then I started changing the way I did things as far as overcoming sin, the way I eat, I exercise now. And my brother didn't do any of those things. So I urge you to get rid of sin, eat better, exercise, and I think you can live longer than what you think. All right? I'm saddened by my brother because he was such a nice little guy. But my brother didn't really deal with life as most people don't. They don't really deal with what's really going on in their lives. They pretend that it's not there by running away from it. And I think that's why he drank so much, all the anger and conflict he had. And rather than dealing with that, he just drank himself to death. And so that's why he died. So I'm wondering who's going to die next. And I hope it's not this year, because I don't feel like going back. I don't have time. You know, you don't have time to go to funerals? No. The preacher was interested in that a nice man and a family member, he was a member of my family. If he said, please go in there and make me a dinner, I would. But if he just said, go in there and make me a dinner, I wouldn't do it, because it's like he's telling me what to do. And so I talked to her and other people. I realized that there should be two mindsets. One is of the world, where, liberal women or godless women who hate God, they hate men, they hate that order. They're supposed to have that mindset. But men and women of God should have a different mindset about marriage and about life. That's why God said, be in the world, but not of it, overcome the world. So we shouldn't be thinking the way that, as Christians, we should not think the way that the children of the lie think. There's no competition between men and women of God. The man love being a man, and the woman love being a woman, a mother, a wife and a mother. There's no competition between the two. But what I've found now in the churches, where with the Christian women and men, they sound just like the world. Their language have not changed, their attitude about life. They still think in a secular way, men and women. My male cousins and brothers are the same. Well, I got some more brothers left, by the way. I still have 2 more left. There was 7 sisters and 6 brothers with me. And that's one nice thing about having a big family. When they start to drop off, you're not alone right away, But anyway, we are supposed to have a preacher guy. it was like an actor on a stage. You know how when the preachers, some of the black preachers, when they preach, they like really hoop and holler. And the Lord said, look at your neighbor and say, the Lord said, don't do this. Everybody look. My sister was looking at me and I felt embarrassed. And then you want to, that they really make you get involved. And I didn't want to be involved like that. And so you have to sit there and look crazy because you're not hooping and hollering and carrying on as well. So that was interesting at the funeral. What else was interesting? I think that's about it for the funeral. They say that my brother was a Christian and that he had started to go to church and read the Bible and stuff, so they think that he went to heaven. How they know, I have no idea. So one thing I learned, and I already know this, but I realized after the funeral, because I tend to go around and talk to different family members about things, I was asking some of my female cousins who were married if their husband was the head of them. And some of them said yes, most said no. They said they were partners or something like that. And I asked them if they would obey their husband. Well, it all depended on how he said. Because I asked one of my sisters, if your husband said to you to go in there and make me a dinner, would you just go in there and make a dinner? She's like, no, I wouldn't do that.